Last name?
Alexandra of Sussex.
Is Sussex your last name?
Sussex is the region where my family's from.
I didn't ask where you were from. I asked your last name.
Dutton.
Alexandra Dutton, that's your name.
That is my name, yes.
This is a little excerpt from one of the shows I watched. I think it's 1883. It's like pre-Yellowstone. How the Yellowstone was formed with Harrison Ford is an excellent thing. And this woman is asked, what's your last name? And she goes, well, my name is Alexandra of Sussex. And the guy goes, I didn't ask you which place you were from. I asked your last name. So I hope Meghan gets the drift. And you know what? I am so sick and tired of all these royal reporters. Oh, royal experts. Again and again and again. They're still saying that it's Parliament who gets to remove Harry's titles. This is Parliament already telling you that it's not them. It is the monarch. And that instance, when people were sending UK parliamentary petitions, it was the Queen. But now, of course, it falls on King Charles. So yes, it's absolutely up to King Charles and not up to Parliament like these royal experts keep telling you. Now, the worst lie that Meghan Markle has told is not even claiming that her last name is Sussex. Forget about that. Mr. Markle is rightly upset. Her father is rightly upset, but then again, why would he be? Because, for example, I don't know if Meghan Markle took the last name Engleson. For example, when Meghan Markle married Trevor Engleson, she would have become Meghan Engleson, which would be true. So I'm just surprised that Mr. Markle is angry that now she says she's Sussex. Because when he married DORIA, I don't know if DORIA changed her last name to Markle or she kept the Raglan name, but it is customary for the wife to take the husband's name. In that regard, I am not going to fault Meghan Markle because that is how it's usually done, right? So that part I'm surprised about. But he is right in being upset in other ways because it's another kick in the teeth how she wants to completely disassociate herself from a man who gave so much. And this is going to be from her own words. And I am going to show you once and for all that Delfina Balquier, why Delfina Balquier went in Meghan Markle's show, why the episode 5 is the worst one and the worst lies she told. It is mind-blowing. So let's get into this. And I want to thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I think it's time for Mr. Markle to do an intervention and really come clean about all the lies that they've covered up for Meghan Markle. Because what we've seen is that he has ruined his name by going along with the lies. I don't agree with him when he says that Meghan Markle was proud of her name until she met Harry, because that's kind of assigning blame to Harry. Again, if Meghan Markle had taken Trevor Engleson's name, would he be this angry? But he is right in other aspects because, again, this is just another dagger to what this man has endured at the hands of this woman, and I'm glad he's calling her out. So again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel.
When we first met and you're like, wait a minute, you speak Argentinian Spanish? But it's such a pretty language because it sounds musical. Like, ¿de dónde sos? ¿Y cuándo llegaste? It's so... When I lived in Argentina, I think the reason I loved it so much is it reminded me of California in a lot of ways. I was only there for a few months interning at the U.S. Embassy, but I loved it.
Y perdona si mi español no está perfecto, porque yo aprendí hace 20 años en Argentina.
Meghan Markle throughout the years, this is the famous story of her, how she learned Spanish. And I want you guys to understand this because these were her own words. When she's on that stage in Colombia, that she learned Spanish when she went to Argentina 20 years ago, right? Those are her words. She didn't say, I spoke Spanish and then I went to Argentina. No, she learned Spanish in those 5 weeks she was in Argentina in 2002. At the end of July, beginning very much at the end of July, and she stayed there for 5 weeks, including her birthday, which is August 4th, right? It's very important for you to understand this. This was the year is incredibly important for you to understand this, okay? And again, I'm going to give you the receipts of what it takes for you to be an intern, what it takes for you to apply for an internship in the United States of America worldwide. You need to be a junior or a senior in a college program or be an undergraduate. You need to, step one, confirm your eligibility to apply. You have to be a U.S. citizen, an undergraduate, a continuing student, and you have to return to school in the immediately following semester, quarter after completing the internship. Able to, which is going to come into play right now, and why these are the worst lies. And I urge Mr. Markle to please come clean. And this is, if you really love your daughter, it's time for you to do an intervention and really clear all of this up, because this is not doing you any favors, nor Meghan Markle, who is now confirmed a public pathological liar, any favors at all. This is like, when you have to grab somebody and do something about it. And able to receive a favorable determination for low risk, non-sensitive or public trust, or a secret or top secret clearance. Because every person in any embassy, and this is my area of expertise, because I was a diplomat, I worked in embassies, I've done everything that has to be done in an embassy from the bottom to the very top. So anybody, even, maybe I shouldn't say this. For example, the U.S. Embassy and certain embassies worldwide, they take their own janitors, they take their own electricians, and they do get diplomatic status because they're there working for the U.S. Embassy. But so that even though they're not career diplomats in the traditional sense, they do have diplomatic status because they don't trust the locals to come and do the janitorial or electrical thing, for security reasons, right? So she has to you have to register. This is directly from the U.S. Department of State. And then you need to register to join our talent. Before, you didn't have the website. When Meghan Markle went, there wasn't really, internet was just starting. Register to join our talent network. Submit your application. Receive security clearance. Okay. Now, if you go as an intern, they provide, once you apply, they assist you with housing and they pay for your tickets from and to. So they paid for your plane tickets back and forth. And they help you with it, assist with the housing, and you get paid on top of that, right? So to me, it never made sense that Mr. Markle claimed that he paid for her tickets to go to Argentina, and that he paid for her apartment, and that he paid for her expenses, because the U.S. State Department would have covered her tickets, her airplane fares. They would have assisted her with housing because she's an intern, and they would have, covered some of her expenses. So I never understood that part. I still don't understand that part. And if you come to here and say, well, maybe it was different back then, no, it's always been like this. Okay. So it is very interesting for me because Meghan, you just heard her, and I gave you that little translation. In Colombia, she admitted that she learned Spanish in Argentina. Now, it is very important for you to understand that the U.S. embassies worldwide, usually you have red countries, yellow countries, and green countries. Green means that is a safe country to be. So usually when you go abroad as a diplomat or as a tourist, it's safe. I don't know if I've been a tourist as a U.S. citizen, and you go and you're enrolled and you get emails from the embassies. I get them all the time saying, oh, you cannot go out this day because there's going to be demonstrations here and there, or it's not safe to go there. It's not safe. These countries are not safe to travel. Argentina, on December 21st, 2001, there were 22 people dead after civil unrest. The president fled the country. from 2002, from that date until the beginning of 2003, there were civil unrest throughout the entire country of Argentina. It was considered a red zone, a red country, which was a no-go country. It was hard to get people to go and work at the embassies because nobody wanted to go because it was high risk, which means that when you go there as an intern, as a diplomat or anything, there would have been a travel advisory saying, or a curfew, because the country itself declared a state of emergency with a curfew. So for me, it doesn't make sense that Mr. Markle's paying for her expenses, is paying for everything. So I'm wondering if rather than an internship, if this was just a vacation for Rachel Meghan Markle. Because as an intern, she would spend her days at the embassy. And when the country is under such civil unrest and it is determined to be unsafe, they are not allowed to go out and travel and wander the country around, like she just said on that Netflix thing with Delfina Balquier. And Delfina Balquier, depending how old she is, she would know that, but she would study her history. So please keep that in mind, because in 2002, from December 21st, 2001 until March 2003, Argentina was under complete civil unrest. It was considered dangerous. People were being hijacked in the streets. So if you were a U.S. embassy intern, employee, Marine, because they bring their own Marines to take care of, to look after the embassy personnel and stuff, you don't go out. You have a curfew. So I don't understand Meghan's lies of her going, oh, when I'm walking through with the scene, it reminds me, and I was there a few months. And then Delfina saying that Meghan speaks Argentinian, where Delfina knows that Argentinian is not a language. In fact, in Argentina, they call it Castellano. Most of Latin America, we generally refer to it as Spanish. But in Argentina, a lot of Argentinians call it Castellano, which is the same thing. But they just refer to it differently. But it's not a different language. Okay? Now, Meghan likes to say a few words here and there, but we already have her admitting that she went to Argentina. She's lying there when she says that she was there for a few months. She's lying there when she's talking about the mate, vamos, vámonos, and like pure bullshit. But what is really intriguing to me, and I will ask Mr. Markle to clarify, is that the school in Spain, there's a school this is not me. Okay, this is not me saying this. This is the school international in Spain that says to you that, sorry guys, that says to you that they are actually very proud that Meghan Markle was one of their students. That she went there in September 2002, right after she left Argentina. Okay. So, and that she was there for 3 months and she stayed with the host family. So, if she was there, it's the Study International, as you're seeing on screen right now. The International Education of Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Okay, and so she was there from September 2002 for 3 months. And apparently, she took a semester abroad in Spain. Markle left campus for a few months after her junior year at Northwestern University. She interned at the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires and considered a career in politics, but she failed the foreign examine officer's test. In September 2002, she was off to Madrid as part of a 3-month program offered by IES Abroad. Okay, where she stayed with the host family. Yet we have never heard this host family come out and speak, because they would, just like these 2 Irish Catholic people saying, oh my God, we've heard of Meghan Markle. She's there, I can't believe the Duchess of Sussex, a member of the royal family, is here. And then they go, here she practiced her Spanish and was immersed in the culture, cuisine, and history of the capital city. She also took 5 courses, which were mainly taught in Spanish, and stayed with a host family. So why is Meghan Markle not mentioning one word of this anywhere? And she keeps going back to lying about been a few months in Argentina? Is it because this woman is confused and she thinks that Spain is Argentina? Or was she ever in Argentina at all? Because you see, if she'd gone as an intern, she would know that she was not allowed to roam the country free in 2002, at the end of July, August 2002, because the whole country was declared in an emergency state. There were curfews. You were not allowed to go anywhere, and you were there only for 5 weeks. And it is very interesting for me to see that. And now, what is very sad for me, guys, and for Mr. Markle, I understand where his anger comes from. I mean, this woman talking about making gumbo. Where the hell was DORIA? Where the hell was DORIA? And I'm going to ask you this and I'm going to read you this. And please tell me what you think.
Y perdona si mi español no está perfecto, porque yo aprendí hace 20 años en Argentina.
This one was directly from the TIG. We know that Meghan Markle went to the United Nations, and in the United Nations, she never mentioned her mother. She praised her father. In the TIG, the last TIG entry was on June 19th, 2016, her praising her father once again. But that's not the one I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you another one, which is 2 years prior. And then she claimed that the last time basically that Mr. Markle would have seen this woman would have been on Thanksgiving Day on November 2016, when supposedly Harry paid for a beautiful home for them to meet and have Thanksgiving. I believe those are all lies. I'm just going to put it out here and because I'm going to tell it. But listen to this woman talk about her father. Draw your own box. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific, Islander. Those were the only 4 options available for me to check as my ethnicity in my 7th grade English class. Choose one. It was some sort of mandatory census that had to be completed before an exam. And there I was, my curly hair, my freckled face, my pale skin, my mixed race, looking down at these boxes, not wanting to mess up, but not knowing what to do, not knowing which box I fit into. Now, we have the new narrative that this is on 7th grade. So Meghan Markle would have been 8 or 9. We have the new narrative that Meghan Markle has put out that she grew up with her mother, eating her gumbo. You know, all this smelling in this review that she's doing in the kitchen. She talks about her mom's cooking, how her mom's cooking, or her memories she has because her mom was a great cook. So she didn't know. Most people in the United States claim this woman as black. If she grew up with her mother looks black. We have seen pictures that Mr. Markle put out of her black relatives. And if you are black relative, apparently in the United States, you're not allowed to say you're mixed race. You have to say you're black. So Meghan would have known, had she grown with her mother, what race she is considered to be in the United States rather than biracial. And I want to make a correction because in 1987, I wanted to join the Marines in the United States, the U.S. Marines in the United States. And there was like white, black, Asian, and other. And then they had a line underneath that you had to explain the other if you felt like it. So I don't understand why Meghan Markle couldn't take the box other, which means that this is a lie. But this is the part that we should all pay attention to. I remember going home that night and telling my dad what happened, recounting how my teacher said to just choose one, that despite my being biracial, that I should simply choose one box and be done with it. And in one of those parenting moments that no guidebook could ever prep you for, my dad said words that still will stay with me forever. Draw your own box. Why didn't Meghan Markle go to DORIA? Where the F was DORIA? Wouldn't DORIA have been the right person to ask this question? Which again goes to debunk everything that Meghan Markle is talking in her new Netflix venture about her mom being around and making all these meals, and she remembers her mother because she's saying that when she came at night, she asked her dad, her white father, And then she goes, this is the same man who took apart two Barbie box sets because you could only buy a white Barbie or a black one. He made a custom one to bring home to me. His specialty set included a black Barbie mom, a white Ken doll dad, and two kids, one black and one white. I picture him standing there in Toys R Us, moms glaring at him for taking the toys apart, perhaps an employee saying, excuse me, sir, you can't do that. As my dad carefully separated the boxed sets to make me one that echoed my reality. One that showed me that I should and could make my own box. In celebrating Father's Day, I think of so many moments with my dad, our club sandwich and fruit smoothie tradition post my tap and ballet classes, which by the way, he religiously took me to on Saturday mornings after working 75 plus hours a week as a lighting director. The fishing trips along the Kern River and Big Bear Lake to catch catfish or trout and cook it up for dinner. And the commitment he made to lighting my high school musical so that they felt as grand as a Broadway show. The blood, sweat, and tears these men who came from so little in a small town of Pennsylvania, where Christmas stockings were filled with oranges and dinners were potatoes and spam, invested in my future so that I could grow up to have so much. He helped me turn my bathroom into a darkroom when I was 12 because I wanted to be a photographer, shading my windows in red lighting gels and filling my cabinets with extra jugs of fixer. He put gas in my car when I went from audition trying to make it as an actress. He is the person who believed in this grand dream of mine well before I could even see it as a possibility. He taught me to write thank you notes, to always arrive early, to drink Arnold Palmer's, which I now find out are very expensive drinks. So she was not eating a $4.99 Sizzler salad. To find my light when I'm on camera, which is why she's always knows where the camera is, and beyond. And that right there is the point my dad taught me to find my light. And he taught me to always make my own box. To my dad, my thoughtful, inspiring, hardworking daddy, happy Father's Day. If I had all the water in the world, I'd give all the water to you. And then she puts in parentheses, you won't get that quote, but he will. And for Father's Day, that's all that matters. This was on June 2014. There were others. The last two were also but to me, I decided to pick this one because this shows that Doria was absent. The person to have given her a lesson in race, it wouldn't have been a white man. It would have been her present mother or absent mother. But now she claims she grew up smelling her mother's jumbo food. She says that she went to Argentina. She says that her father paid for that trip, not the U.S. Department of State. So, Mr. Markle, you are a loving father. You are clearly a loving father who doted on this woman, ungrateful, skanky woman. You know, unfortunately, you seem to have been a great father to a most ungrateful psychopath. The best thing you can do for this woman is to simply come clean and debunk her lies because there are way too many. And you shouldn't be angry because she chooses to have a last name. If, for example, even though it's the wrong one, because her last name would be Mountbatten Windsor, just like she gets to use the title of the Duchess of Sussex, even though she's not royal, but by courtesy and by extension, she's allowed to use that royal title. By extension, until the Queen said you could no longer use HRH, in spite of the fact that Meghan Markle was not of royal blood, she was allowed to be addressed as HRH. So just like that, also, her last name would be Mountbatten Windsor if Prince Harry used his last name. Because Harry's name is Henry Albert Charles David Mountbatten Windsor, the Duke of Sussex, as a title. Okay? So you wouldn't be angry if Meghan had chosen. But I do understand your anger because what Meghan was trying to tell Mindy Kaling is not that her last name was Sussex, is that she was now the Duchess of Sussex. But I think it's time for an intervention. And this is the worst. I think that episode 5 is the most glaring example of the fake reality this woman lives in. And that it is incredible to me that DORIA and Meghan are going along with this narrative, and that the mainstream media are refusing to call this out. That the mainstream media are not questioning her Argentina story. They're not pointing out that she doesn't speak Argentinian because that language does not exist. Okay? That they're not asking about the 3 months that supposedly Meghan spent in Spain. Nobody's asking about it. I've done videos on it over and over and over again. So maybe now you beautiful people out there will help me put this out there again for like the 100th time. If anybody can confirm, if we can find out who the host family was. Because why does Meghan only refer to Argentina and not Spain? Is it because she's confused? Because again, the United States Department, the Department of State of the United States of America, if they had hired her as an intern, they would have paid for her tickets and they would have paid for her housing. And in 2002, she would have not been able to wander around the streets of Argentina. So I don't know what the hell this woman's talking about. So as usual, please let me know what you think and leave your beautiful comments. I do read them whenever I have the chance. And thank you for watching once again.